Alright, this is a video in response to Otaku Crave, is it?
Yes.
Okay. The question is, do you prefer dubs or subs? Which has been a big question going back and forth in the anime community for, nigh on, 2 decades? At least over
Yeah.
here in America. So, Nick, you want to get started?
Sure. I enjoy both, but I'm beginning to think that English dubbing is one of the reasons that anime is not succeeding as well as it could over in America.
Yeah.
Almost to the extent that I think it's partially unethical to dub something into English when it's in order to deliver the original experience. And I know there's argument on both sides of you're trying to recreate the original experience with the English dub, but I feel like nothing else, any other foreign media doesn't get dubbed unless it's a video game, and even there, my knowledge isn't that good on video games, but from what I understand, most of them are dubbed. I can't even name a single title where you can still switch it back into Japanese, which I think is really dumb because it's a Japanese game. But yeah, I do. I'm trying to watch more subs now, and I watch a lot of fan subs now too. So I tend to watch subs now, but I don't have I don't have a real big problem with English dubs.
Yeah, I tend to prefer English dubs partly because I'm an animation wonk and I like watching the animation itself and being able to pay attention to the animation. For me, having to glance down at the bottom of the screen every couple of seconds is a bit of a problem. And I'm going to sneeze. I like to really see what's going on, and I find subs are distracting to that. Plus, I started watching anime back when all the dubs sucked, and I'm used to watching. I'm used to being able to watch an anime and enjoy it, and the quality of the dub doesn't have to be high for me to enjoy the anime. I can understand the plot, the storyline, all that kind of stuff, and kind of um, edit out in my mind the quality or lack thereof of the dub. So unless it's really, really bad and distracting, screechy high voices. Part of the reason I started watching subs was, well, one was just fan subs, and the other was the Gundam shows, which tended to have pretty mediocre to poor dubs in a lot of cases. And so now I tend to start with a dub, and then if the dub is hard to listen to, I'll switch to the subs. Although, I mean, right now, really, it's gotten to the point where, if you want to watch dub, you watch a dub. If you want to watch a sub, you watch a sub. So, whatever your preference is fine. Now, as you mentioned, one of the issues is the fact that dubs drive up the cost of the whole thing, which makes the discs expensive, which makes people not want to buy them, and that's become a major issue. And I don't think it's unethical to bring it over and dub it, but I think it is certainly a major factor, and that things should be edited, or that should be less of an automatic decision to dub it, and that folks should be willing to sub only.
Yeah, because I mean the only people we really have doing that are Media Blasters and Bandai did Toward the Terror that way, and they
Mm-hmm.
did Gurren Lagann's initial release that way. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean they were going to dub it anyway. It was only because Gurren Lagann was so popular that, and I think they want. I don't. Well, I'm assuming that they wanted to try and reach the fan sub base who, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they're not going to watch it dubbed anyway. So,
Yeah.
well, most of them won't.
Yeah. And part of the problem too is that I think we've reached that point where people are willing to watch things subtitled to a great extent, and at least the fandom is willing to.
Yeah.
With YouTube and with things like that, it's certainly something that is not as big of a deal as it used to be. So, I mean, I understand where it used to be that folks just would not watch subs, a lot of them, so you had to have a dub, but I think now it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's. I think for mainstream America, it still exists, but I think
Sure.
for anime fandom, just the explosion of fan subs. I think shows that
Yeah.
people are totally open to
Well,
watching anything.
and the vast majority of anime being released over here is not being aimed at mainstream America anyway.
That's true.
Godana, Tutera, Gravitation. Those are not going to show up on the typical typical thing. And well, what was I watching? There are some TV channels that show things subtitled anyway.
Yeah, I think IFC does, and
Imagination, I think, does.
yeah, I thought one of those. Yeah, but like the foreign channels
Mm-hmm.
or independent film channels will.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, of course, those aren't typical. I mean, I believe you have to pay for, in my area anyway, you have to pay for.
Mm.
I know IFC you have to pay for.
Mm.
And I think for some of the foreign channels, you had to. I think they moved up to the next block of cable,
Gotcha.
so that you have to pay more for it. But yeah,
Yeah, that is indeed the issue.
but I don't know in terms of. I still think we shouldn't be dubbing though because nothing else gets dubbed. I understand the
Well,
fandom is different, but
yeah, I mean, I think, well, and like we've said, you have to dub for, kids shows.
yeah,
But I mean, just because nothing else gets dubbed doesn't mean anime shouldn't have to be. I know I certainly enjoy watching anime dubbed simply because that's closer to the original Japanese experience.
that's true. I just feel like, and actually, I don't know so much about how the Japanese see English dubbing,
Mm.
and I've been interested in that if they see it at apparently all the interviews and I've seen videos where it's like Vic Magnana and is that how you pronounce his name?
Something like that.
Okay, and whoever voices, dang it, he voices Ed or whoever voices his character in Japanese from Full Metal
Mm.
Alchemist,
Hmm.
talking in Japan through a translate. Well, he's going through a translator, but she didn't seem to be overly put off by the fact that he was doing her character's voice in another language. So I don't know if some of them see it as a
Well, no, and well, I know that the Japanese anime industry is fully aware that this stuff gets dubbed in other languages, and it doesn't matter because everything is sourced over there. It's not like that's going to stop them from doing anything. I do know that other directors that have been interviewed about this, the answers tend to go all over the map. I've heard more. I prefer subs than I don't care. It tends to be, about a third are I don't care, about a third to maybe a half, or no, maybe a third to a half are I prefer subs, and the rest are, dubs make more sense because that's, how I did it. So it's more personal preference than anything, I think.
yeah, yeah.